Hey quilting friend, let's sew this adorable heart-shaped block together. When you put 5 of these heart-shaped blocks together, it turns into a table topper. This pattern is called Smitten from Villa Rosa, and again, it is a table topper. We made this a few weeks ago in the Quilting Your Legacy Table Topper Club, and in the show description, hopefully there are a few quilt kits left for you. The quilt kits come in this peach color, but also it comes in black background as well. You get to choose with this amazing table topper. And hi, if we haven't met before, hi, I'm Emily, your quilting friend, the founder of Quilting Your Legacy. And in this tutorial, we are going to make this amazing heart-shaped quilt block, step by step. The pattern is right in the show description, in addition to any other yardage that you are going to need. This is going to go together quick and easy and using the flip stitch method, which between you and I is definitely my favorite method when it comes to quilting. I love the flip stitch method. Okay, without any further ado, let's go ahead and start sewing now. Okay, so we've got our half of our fabrics for the heart. We've got our left side, we've got our right side. We are going to sew the left side first. So we're gonna first go ahead and place our little square, our 2.5 inch square, right in that tippy top corner here. So it's gonna go flush on this side, flush on this side. And then we're gonna sew from point to point. So literally from point to point, going all the way down. And again, this is in the left hand side corner, and away we sew from point to point. Now you can absolutely use a friction pen or a pencil. I am going to go ahead and eyeball it. So I'm going to sew my straight line going point to point, going ahead to cut that right off. So then we are going to sew our second. Again, we are putting it flush right in the corner, just like so. And again, we are going to sew from point to point, going all the way down. And absolutely feel free to use that friction pen or the water soluble pen, anything that'll just zip right off or wash right off. But I'm just gonna sew using my eyeballs, point to point. Now that we have this, okay, so sometimes this does happen. What I do is I very carefully pull it up, and then I just go back onto my sewing machine, and then I just sew it. Sometimes that happens. You can absolutely use like a little tail just to make sure that you start off with a piece of fabric, then you start sewing so that doesn't happen, but not a big deal. As you notice here, we've got both of our squares sewn. We've got our sew lines. Next, we are going to cut 1/4 of an inch away from our sew line. Okay, so we're gonna cut our 1/4 of an inch. I've got my scissors. So I'm literally just going to eyeball once again 1/4 of an inch away from my sew line. You can absolutely use your rotary cutter and your rotary mat to get a precise 1/4 of an inch. However, I just enjoy using scissors. So I'm going to set my scissors to the side. To complete our half of the heart block, we are going to add large square right on. Again, we're going to do that flip stitch yet again. We've got it right in the corner on the left hand side, since this is the left side of our heart. And we are going to sew yet again, point to point. Now, I am not going to draw a line. I am just going to eyeball it. So here we go. I do have a line right on my sewing machine that I'm going to use as a tentative guide. If this is way too daunting, trust me, a few years ago, I would probably never eyeball it like this. I would absolutely use a friction pen, drawing a line all the way across. However, I am trying to be braver, so that is where I am just using my eyeballs. But again, if this is way too nerve-wracking, go ahead and just draw a line from point to point. Now, we have our heart all set. We are going to go ahead and press our seams by flipping the stitches up. Okay, so now we've got our heart right on the ironing station. I'm going to go ahead and flip my stitch up by pressing the seams. And then we're going to do that exact step on this side. Again, flipping up and yet again, flipping up. We officially have the half of our heart sewn. Let's go ahead and sew the other half, which will be our right half of the heart. Okay, back to sewing the right hand side of the heart block. Here is our next fabric here. We are going to go ahead and add our 2 squares right on the top. So we've got one here, we've got one here. I'm going to set that one to the side. I'm going to go ahead and put this right in the corner as we've already done. Nice and flush. Here we sew yet again from point to point, and I'm using my guideline here right on my sewing machine. Now that that is complete, we are adding onto the right hand side corner. Again, nice and flush, sewing that point to point. So now that we have both of those sewn, we're going to go ahead and add the bottom right hand side large square, and yet again doing the flip stitch. Okay, now that that is sewn, we are going to cut 1/4 inch away. Again, using my scissors, I am just eyeballing it. 1/4 inch going all the way down. Doing that exact step to the top squares. Then we're going to go back to the ironing station and we are going to flip these stitches up by ironing them. Okay, so let's go ahead and set our first heart block to the side. Next, we are going to take our block. Let's go ahead and flip it. Those nice crisp lines there. And then the next. Okay, let's add our 2 half of the hearts together. So now we are going to complete the block by sewing our 2 halves together. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to pin right here so that these 2 seams match up. So I'm just going to flip this over. I'm then going to put this right in the camera. So now you're going to see these 2 seams are matched up. We've got this seam here to this seam here, that's sew line. I'm going to stick a pin in it and then I'm going to sew. There we go. So now we've got our pin just to make sure that that stays put. Let's go ahead and sew 1/4 inch to complete our block. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and complete the block. We've got our lines here. Let's go ahead and sew 1/4 inch going all the way down. Okay, so now that we have our heart block sewn, let's take it to the ironing station. Okay, so here is our heart block. We are going to press the seams. Now, you could absolutely press the seams open. You can press the seams to the little bit of the darker color. There is no right or wrong answer. I believe when I turned this into a table topper, I did press the seams open just to make sure that everything laid nice and flat. But here we go, everybody. Here is our official heart block. Okay, there we have it. Here is our amazing heart shape block. Thank you so much for sewing this with me. I cannot wait to sew with you again. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on another quilting video. Happy quilting your legacy and sew with you soon.